How to have a conversation when you've been woken up out of a deep sleep and it gets deep. And I'm like, what are you talking about, babe?
Yeah.
And she kept saying, rich, rich, rich. And she's like, I got it. It's rich. And I'm like, okay. I said, what, did a check come or something like that? No, it wasn't it? But I'll let her share with you why she came up with rich.
As our acronym. Well, you know, we're Rich Relationship Refuge, and I've had people to ask us before, what does the rich
Oh,
stand
where did it
for?
come from?
And where did it come from? And the acronym that the Lord gave me was, it's always been about spiritual wealth, not necessarily just financial wealth, but also relational wealth, because most of us want to be, quote unquote, rich, but we don't think about the cost that comes along with that. And so when we interviewed our friends, it's our rich friends, and it's not just about money. It's about, we're going to talk about them one at a time, and I'm going to talk about the first one.
Yeah, sure.
And because I think the first one is probably one of my superpowers, is and I always say, she who is flexible is not easily broken. And I can say that as a result of the way I grew up, as far as growing up in a home where my parents were addicts and they were kind of self-absorbed, I had to learn how to be, with the first R is, which is the first letter, which is resilient. And I think that resiliency is things we're talking about. They may seem old and primitive, but we have been married, happily married, for 35 years. So I think we know just a little bit.
At least what works for us. And that's one of the reasons why we do these Friday or Saturday night lives, just coming on live. You know, we got the teachings and the videos and stuff like that that are out there. But this is a time just to get with the community and people who have seen and watched and all that kind of stuff, just to engage, to talk about some things and to make investments, because sometimes you need some things to do on these Saturday nights if you're not out running the streets. You know, nobody does that. Hey, Miss Iris.
Hey, thanks for joining us. So if you guys have questions that
Put
you
them in
would
the
like
chat.
to
If you got a comment, put it in the chat because we can
chat.
see it.
Yes, we
Renee
can
ain't got
see
her
that.
glasses on, but I can see it and I'll
I can
read
see
it.
that there's words on there. I can't read what they are.
She can
We're so
read.
glad you
She
joined
can't
us.
read the words, but she know that
Yes.
they're actually there. So talk about your
We need-
rich husband and rich wives.
And to me, whenever you decide you're going to do something for God, He is going to go all in your panty drawer, your sock drawer, underneath your couch, underneath your refrigerator. And I had something I had been struggling with, and Gil was like, babe.
Yes, she woke me up again.
Yes, I did.
She's a night owl. Renee's a night owl. I am not a night owl.
No, Gil go to bed at 10 o'clock.
But I probably asleep for 4 hours and I'll be up, but still. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so I was talking to Gil about a situation that I am in, and he said, you have to take into consideration where that person has come from and not where they are. And as soon as he sees, and you need to ask yourself what you're really upset about, because it's really not about what you're focusing on. And so a lot of times when we find ourselves all ruffled up with stuff going on, compassion is like, it is like peroxide. It just goes in and
it starts burning stuff up
and bubbling stuff up, and it shows you. And so I think that compassion is so important especially in a marriage relationship, because we're gonna fail each other. We're gonna disappoint each other. We're gonna have good and bad days. And Gil has been watching me in this situation for months, and it didn't make him hate me or not like me or not respect me. It just made him recognize that, baby, you got to work on your compassion. You got to build that compassion muscle. And some of these things we're going to be working on for the rest of our life, as long as we're believers. Some of them are going to be growth areas, and some of them are going to be strengths. But it's just understanding that compassion is a very important element, a very important facet of having healthy, rich relationships.
We were talking about it this morning, you know, as far as, because we have this kind of conversation about what we're going to want to talk about a little bit. It's free flowing, but one thing that came out that we were talking about this morning was when you have someone that, let's just say you're in conflict with, somebody that you got a beef with, or however you want to describe it, sometimes you can be focusing on that person when it's really the thing that's in you that is manifesting the conflict out of you.
Right.
That person, or to put it another way, does that person or that thing push your buttons? If that button is being pushed that makes you want to go,
You still got the button.
Well, it's not the person, it's the
Yeah.
thing that's already on the inside of you that is making it manifest towards that person.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because if you're directing all that energy towards something of that person, let me ask you this. If it comes up with another person, that same thing, let's just say anger. I'll just pick something really easy because we all get upset and angry about things. If you find yourself getting angry about simple things that really doesn't warrant
It
being
sets you
angry,
off.
that or like, yeah, people say that just set me off or whatever the case may be. If you find that pattern happening against other people, then you're not exercising that compassion that we're talking about, but we're also talking about it's railing up and rising up something on the inside of you that maybe you need to take a little bit closer look at.
Yeah.
Because when you think about compassion, the biggest instance or for me, the simplest way of how does that manifest or look like in real life is empathy.
Yeah.
Really just exercising empathy towards someone, especially your significant other, because I think this is one of those one of the things that people underestimate so many times in their
Yeah.
relationship, especially when it gets tough and challenging, because sometimes you can be scared, nervous, afraid, vulnerable, all these other emotions get manifest, and you can find yourself striking out or looking outwardly at this person that is partnered in with you. If you're already married, your significant other, this is the person that God has put in this relationship with
And that you chose.
Yeah. You know, it's easy to be in a relationship when everything is going good, but when everything is going challenging or when things get challenging, what are you like? Are you that person that is exercising the compassion when your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, husband needs it or wife needs
Yeah.
it?
Or family member.
Yep, yep.
So we have resilient, integrity, compassion,
And
and
the
the
last
last
one.
one, which is like,
Sometimes
if,
it's, go ahead, you can
if
start
you
it
could
out.
only have one of these, and the thing is, at some stage of our life, we're going to have one of these, or two of these, or three of these, or four. But the goal is to work on cultivating all of them at the same time. And that is the human challenge.
You know, I think about when we first got married, so when people said, anybody ever told you just work on your marriage, just work on it? That can come out and mean so many different things. This is the kind of things that we're talking about. This is
Working
actually
on.
working on your marriage and your relationship. These are some tangible, applicable things that you can actually be doing if you find that, hey, my resilience is a little low, or my integrity is being challenged, or even my compassion is a little low right now. Then guess what? These are the things that you can be working on because it's going to build a better relationship for the person you are in relationship with. While your marriage is your first relationship, this will work, guess what? In all the other ones.
And it allows you to honor God with your life.
Mm-hmm.
So many times we think that it's speaking in tongues and paying tithes and going to every single service, but really it's manifesting the fruits of the Spirit. Not so much just the gifts, because the gifts come without repentance, but the fruits of the Spirit being developed and cultivated in your life is you being intentional and saying, you know what, Lord, I am going to let you be glorified in my life. I am going to do something different.
You know, and I think sometimes, and I see and I think that Boziki, I think that's and I see your comment because, and sometimes when you're in those relationships that are challenging, that's the easy way to do it. That's the
Yeah.
easy way to say, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm done.
But you know what? There will be another person,
yeah,
just like the person you left, that we're going to have to learn how to navigate relationships with difficult people. And if you have made a vow and you made a commitment, I don't know if you guys listened to our episode last week with Caroline and Everett, one of the things that we all did, we didn't do it like we didn't talk to each other about it. We all did separately. 4 different people made the decision, we're going to take divorce off the table.
Yep.
And I challenge you all, as a part of this community, to take now, I'm not talking about if you're being sexually abused physically. I'm not talking about that.
Abuse is
We're not
never
talking about
warranted.
kids being
No.
abused. No, that is ground. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about under normal circumstances, normal things. Just, well, he make me mad, or he get on my nerve, or she get on my nerve. Take divorce off the table, because when you take divorce off the table, then you're going to have to do whatever is necessary to make it work.
And that kind of leads us into the H, humility.
Humility.